What's up, everyone? This is Chris DeFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. I hope you're having an amazing week so far, and I'm so glad that you decided to join me today as we talk about losing it. It's going to be a good time talking about this today. Well, one of the things we rely on to make sure a shift is going to be going smoothly is equipment that works properly. And one of the things that we need to do to make our equipment work properly is make sure that it's clean. And coffee is tasting good with clean equipment. For that job and for any other coffee cleaning job, I recommend you use today's sponsor, Ernex. Ernex has been creating cleaning products for the coffee industry for over 80 years. They developed a wide range of products for specific equipment such as cold brew, steam wands, grinders, brewers, espresso machines. They even have a dedicated cleaner for roasters. And what's great about them is that they work hand in hand with professionals across the globe to make sure that the products that they deliver to our shops are both effective and easy to use. And I've certainly, over the years of my career, enjoyed using Ernex products in the cafe. So the bottom line, clean equipment makes the best coffee, and the best cleaning products are made by Ernex. Find out more by visiting their website, ernex.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by ODEKO. One of the keys to running a great shop is managing your inventory, keeping the costs of goods in line, and always being stocked with the right stuff. Of course, that's easier said than done. There's a lot of unknowns when it comes to small business, and that's where our sponsor, ODEKO, comes in. ODEKO uses artificial intelligence to put your POS data to work. It then acts as a virtual purchasing agent to place orders for exactly what you need based on your sales history, weather, local events, and it has a more than 90% accuracy rate in predicting future sales. ODEKO AI basically obsesses over every item to predict, fulfill, and manage your inventory. They've helped their partners cut waste by 50%, reduce food costs by 9%, and saved owners and managers between 2 and 5 hours per week. So if you want to cut waste, save time, and streamline your ordering and inventory, then you need to sign up for ODEKO. Find out more by visiting the site odeko.com/keys to the shop. Okay, so today I want to talk about losing it. And by that term, I mean those times on the shift where you feel like you're going to lose it, where all this stuff happens on the shift, like a bad interaction with a customer, a coworker who's dropping the ball, spilled drinks, broken equipment, maybe all at the same time. There happens to be many of these moments throughout a shift, unfortunately, and I've experienced this emotion of just feeling like I'm definitely going to lose it right now, multiple times in a shift, in some even recently, because it's just a high stress environment being in a coffee shop. So no apologies there needed. This is just something we all experience. And that's why I wanted to talk to you today, is because these are moments that can end up defining a culture. There are moments that can end up defining the way you think about your job and the people around you and the customers. Because what happens is it sets off a chain reaction where we start to panic. We start to let ourselves create narratives in our head about our situation, about the people around us, about this stupid company and these stupid people, and I'm stupid, and all these thoughts that go on, and it debilitates us. And this is not just something that I've experienced as an emotion on shift at a coffee bar, where I feel the stress has caused me to shut down and do angry dishes in the dish pit, or stock cups where I'm more throwing them than I am placing them. This is something that I've actually experienced in my life through just physically. I've had panic attacks in the past, and maybe you're similar in that sense. And since my early 20s, I've experienced panic attacks. It's something that I've been able to get more under control as I've grown, and I've learned how to overcome that. But it's a similar feeling in my mind, having experienced both, in that it's a chain reaction that sort of creates a bigger and bigger and bigger reaction in your mind, to the point where you feel like you're not in control anymore. And I feel like there are some similar tactics between how you can overcome an anxiety attack as to how you could overcome those moments in a shop where you feel like all of this stuff is just falling down on you at once. And so that's what this episode is going to focus on, giving you some tactics, maybe some ideas for next steps, when you feel the stress building up and that everything is out to get you, basically, on the shift. These are things that have helped me in the past, both on the bar and in my quest to sort of overcome some anxiety issues. So let's start with a caveat. Let's start with a call to managers and owners and people who are in charge of people in the cafe. Part of your responsibility is to facilitate success. And part of that means facilitating opportunities for self-care. If I want to take a break on my shift and I'm, supposed to have a break on my shift, that needs to be something that's structurally provided by management in some way. Or, too many times there's lip service given to self-care, but there's really never any assistance or never any ideas about how that's supposed to be happening on a shift when that shift doesn't allow for much in the way of time to sit down. So you feel like, yes, we're going to be expected to take breaks, but we really can't take breaks. So, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's the way it is. And that's, I would say that's so many, maybe most coffee bars are like that, unfortunately. You don't get that when you're in larger corporations that are held accountable for their breaks. And you are forced to take a break. When I've worked for, grocery stores, whether you want to take a break or not, you're taking a break right now. And as much as I didn't like that sometimes, I look back and I'm really grateful for that, actually. So that's the first thing. You can actually help people. Breaks are just part of it. You can actually help people facilitate a better mental and physical state on the bar. And that's part of being a leader in the cafe. It's leading people to success and facilitating their success and their health in the process. Now, with that said, in the moment, you can't just stop and talk to your manager about policy change and systematic issues that can be solved for the future. You need to do something right now. And I think one of the first things that you can do in order to solve this is to slow down. Look at what you're doing. What I'm usually doing is I'm gripping things real hard. I am moving too fast, trying to do too many things at once. And I need to slow down what I'm doing so that I can actually think instead of just react. Because when you're going super fast, you're just going to make a lot of mistakes. You're more likely to spill things, mishear things. You're more likely to look scary to people. And this is especially true for me and my fantastically furrowed brow. I just can look frazzled. And you know as well as I do that the energy behind a frazzled bar frazzles the customers. And it just makes people go like, don't know if I want to get closer to that. And that energy it sucks for specialty coffee, and we don't want that. So first, it starts with us. Let's slow down, get some thoughts going on in our head, and invite some order into the process. The next thing I would say is we need to breathe. This is something that Oscar Trimboli, our last episode, 165, he was talking about deep listening and how we can listen better when we are breathing. He also mentioned water, which of course, guys, this is really important. You need to drink water on bar, a lot of it. But you also need to breathe because as for me, I know that I'd have real shallow breaths on bar, and it's just because I don't want to waste motion. I actually don't even breathe when I pour. It's a bad habit from competition. I just hold my breath and I need to stop. So I don't know why I'm sharing that, but it's really important that you breathe because you'll gain oxygen, because oxygen in your brain helps you take control of your thoughts and your emotions. It really makes a big difference. And then from that point, you can zoom out. Look at the big picture. Is the point of you being on bar right now to go as fast as humanly possible? Is it to beat your personal record for making a cappuccino? Or is it to make a great cappuccino in a reasonable amount of time with a pleasant demeanor? I think it's the latter. I think it's being healthy, making reasonably timed, amazing beverages. So help yourself get a big picture view, zoom out and say, what are we doing here? What is the point of all this? Okay, the point is to serve customers well. The point is to make amazing beverages, to represent this coffee well to the customer, and that's what I'm going to do. And you'll be amazed that it kind of disrupts the pattern. It disrupts that chain reaction of stress. Now, another thing that I find helpful is to recognize that nothing that's happening right now that you think is really bad is as bad as it seems in the moment. You need to learn a little bit of doubt. Be skeptical of your raw emotions in the moment and observe them in a sense from outside yourself. Look at it and say, this is probably not as bad as I'm making it out to be right now. Yes, I did spill this drink onto my shoes and onto the floor, and I need to remake the entire thing, but it's going to be over. It's not going to be the end of my life. The customer is still going to get a great drink, and I will be on the other side of this very soon. So it's not as big of a deal as I'm thinking it is right now. And that's the next thing that I want to say, and this is really, really key, is that you have the luxury of responding the way you want to a situation. It does not have to control you. When you recognize that it's not as bad as it seems, and you've zoomed out to see what's really important, if you've been breathing and you've slowed down, now you can look at the rush and you can actually use that stress and that energy and redirect it into a positive energy. So you are happy that it's busy. You're relishing the moment to make all of these beverages instead of dreading making all these beverages. And on bar, you can easily let these things just steamroll you. Take charge of the situation, and at least start by taking charge of yourself and how you're responding to the stress and the triggers of stress that happen. And you're going to start to see that other people start to follow suit. And the last thing is this. After the shift is done, take note of what happened. Take note of the triggers and recognize them sooner when they come up. This is what's really helped me with anxiety attacks in the past. And when they start to threaten to come on again, I recognize what to do. Same thing here. When you know that what you're about to experience on bar, you can cut it off at the pass. Practice some of these things or all of them on bar before it gets really busy, and you'll start to see a little bit more control over the situation. It's just like knowing your espresso well enough to know that if it doesn't start dripping at X number of seconds out of the portafilter, then it's likely not going to be good. And then you need to, instead of waiting for the entire shot to extract 50 seconds out of the portafilter, you can just get it out of there and get a new shot, diagnose what happened, change your grind, and get a new one in. But if you don't know what to look for, then you just let the process play itself out too long, and now you're in the middle of it, and it's harder to get yourself out. This is the way it's worked for me with anxiety, and knowing what's triggering and knowing what the early symptoms and warning signs are to be able to not go into it full on. And, I've been able to overcome it for the most part with much more success than I have in the past. And that's the same thing that I hope for you from today's episode, is that this talk and some of the things that I mentioned, I would encourage you, employ them on the bar, even when you feel a little bit of stress. Short circuit this before it gets out of control, before you get out of control. Own your responses to the stressors outside of you, and you're going to find that working the bar, even when it's busy, even when you feel like I really should be stressed out right now, you'll find that instead of being stressed out, it's actually energizing. And again, this comes from personal experience, and I've seen it work for other people as well. Hope it works for you. And that's it for today's episode. I'm so grateful that you decided to listen today, and I will see you here next week for another edition of Shift Break, from keys to the shop.